Ready?
Yes.
How do we start this?
Ooh, okay. Let's talk about Tassie.
Yeah, so as you can see, we are currently indoors. Those who are following us on Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that, sending us messages, might already know where we are. But we'll not get into that. We'll keep it spoiler free for now,
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So seeing as we're currently stopped for a little bit, we thought we'd talk about Tassie, take this opportunity to sum up the trip and wrap it up. I've got some statistics here. We were in Tassie for 5 weeks, from the 28th of April to the 4th of June. In that time, we covered 1,400k, which it's not very much.
No, it sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
Felt like a lot.
In 5 weeks, that ain't a great deal, but due to the whole lockdown stuff at the end there, which you'll all have seen, we actually ended up spending an entire week up at the Guns Plains, editing this stuff, getting ourselves prepared, doing some research, because at that point we thought we might actually have to leave the country.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of stuff to do, so we took a week out there. We spent 5 days in Hobart, exploring that place.
Awesome.
Day off at Launceston, day off at Port Arthur, stuff like that. So the 5 weeks was actually about 3 weeks of actual cycling.
Yeah.
Still not a great amount of distance to do in that time, but there's just so much to see in Tassie.
What's really cool about Tassie is because it's one of the smaller states. So especially since we only did the east coast of it, there's just the towns are so close together. You literally can just stop every 30k and just get sidetracked, exploring all these cool places, and that's kind of what happened to us.
Yeah, it's not like WA and the Nullarbor and all that stuff where you could be going an entire day without seeing anyone, or 2 days before you can resupply your water or whatever. It's kind of like England and Europe in that regard.
Yeah, that's why I liked it.
All these little villages, really often. So the route, we went straight down the middle, loosely following the Tassie Trail. We followed bits of the trail. Every now and again we would veer off of it because we wanted to do something. Early on we detoured to Launceston. We didn't realise we'd be going there a second time, so we figured we'd go see it. Once we got to the bottom, we veered off of the Tassie Trail to go to Hobart. From Hobart, we made a slight detour inland for the Pooseum.
Yeah.
Of course.
We had to. It's a pilgrimage.
From the Pooseum, it was down to Port Arthur, where we've got a friend, who has an Airbnb down there. She'd offered to put us up for a couple of nights, so we figured we'd go down there and have a look. From Port Arthur, it was right up the east coast, and then inland to Derby, after the detour to the gardens and the Bay of Fires, which I had to go to as someone who enjoys mountain biking. From Derby, back to the ferry, or so we thought, until we got delayed. So to waste time, it was up to the Guns Plains to see the caves, do Leven Canyon, all that kind of
I
stuff.
saw Penguin, which is a town just covered in penguins.
Yeah, so Penguin, Guns Plains, and back to the ferry. So that was our lap. We would have loved to have seen the wild west coast, but as we said, we were basically doing this over the month of May. And for those who know Tassie, they'll know it's starting to get a little bit cold then. Particularly our last week where we had frost every day.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah, considering the west coast, it rains 300 days of the year or something ridiculous like that. We didn't really fancy doing it in winter. We'd love to go back, love to check it out, but we were getting the most bang for our buck by doing the east coast instead, at least this time around. So let's run through it, some of the ups, some of the downs, highs and lows. Straight off the ferry, had a look around Devonport.
Yeah.
It's
an industrial town.
Yeah, it didn't make a great first impression on me the first time.
Yeah.
I actually preferred it after the lap when we came back and we discovered that bike path.
Yeah, that was
around
good.
the coast and around the back of the university or something?
It was, yeah. It was really nice. And you go through little bridges and it was really pretty.
So in terms of attractions and stuff, like Devonport didn't have a great deal,
No.
but like it was quite a nice little town. Like it seems very livable.
Yeah.
Like I think that'd be like a nice town to, you know.
They did have this ferry. We actually took it. We didn't really need to. They have this like little ferry that's like a miniature version of the big ferry.
Yeah, the spirit of Devonport.
Yeah, the spirit of Devonport, and that was really cool. So I'm glad we got to do that because it's seasonal. So we got, I think, one of the last runs before they shut it down for the season.
The Eastern port for that, like the Eastern jetty, is right on the edge of the pub, hotel, motel.
Yeah.
Those guys are cashing in on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Got the ferry to town stopping right outside your premises. Great.
Very smart.
So from there, like Tassie Trail route, like how gorgeous was it going up the water in there? It was amazing.
It was so nice.
That was our introduction to Tassie, and it kind of reminded me of like Scotland.
Yeah, see, it reminded me of BC. That's but yeah, Scotland as well, just like lush and like it was stunning.
Well, a lot
like
of those
mist on the water.
Yeah, like a lot of those island hoppy kind of places. When you go around all the islands in the northwest of Scotland, it had that kind of vibe to it.
It did. That is true. And then we found the what is it? The Woodworkers Hall of Fame.
The Australian Axeman.
The Axeman.
Hall of Fame.
The Axeman Hall of Fame. And the giant platypus. And then that was sort of when it all began, the string of really quirky small towns that we kept running into in Tassie.
First of which, Railton first?
Yes, it's the topiary town.
Good brewery.
Oh yeah, the brewery.
7 Sheds.
I liked all the topiaries.
The topiaries were cool.
That was really cool.
Topiaries looked like they needed some maintenance.
They did need a little bit of love.
But to be fair to them, we had arrived in winter. So, you know, I'm sure in the summer when all the plants are actually, you know, growing, I'm sure it's a lot better. But the route from there to Sheffield was awesome. Like, you go through, like, that national forest, and there's the waterfalls that we had to look at. That area was really cool. And then Sheffield is the mural town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sheffield is really pretty. I love that. And apparently the town used to be like nothing. It was just like this, you know, nondescript town. And then someone with like really good foresight was like, let's paint murals on all the buildings. And now it's like a destination.
Well, it was when we went to the mural gallery bit where they had all the every year they have like the competition like for the best mural, and they have them all the best murals displayed in this little outdoor area, and they were incredible. In fact, one of them was the thumbnail for the video we made where we visited that town of the octopus with the car parked on it. Like that was amazing.
That was my absolute favorite one.
Yeah, really cool. And we went to that crazy antique shop with the eccentric owner.
Batman.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. But I think all that stuff's great, but I think my favourite part of it was going out to the Sykes Sanctuary.
Remember that?
Norman Sykes was credited as being at least Tasmania's, maybe Australia's first conservationist. He was like an environmental, you know, and he was a well-known eccentric. He would read his book by a lamp that he powered with a bicycle, pedal-powered lamps. He was known to pick up roadkill and eat it, boil it up in his pot. All around, like, super interesting character. And he had a vast estate, which when he died, in his will, he left it to the town to make a sanctuary for bushwalking and for, like, the scouts for going camping and all this kind of stuff. Like, to make it public land and used for recreation and outdoor activities, which is awesome. So we visited that and saw his monument, which was bizarre.
It was really weird.
Like, it had all these weird... Well, it was like, but it wasn't like real maths. It had like a bunch of numbers, and then it had like the human soul, and like it was like algebra. It was like a bunch of equations, but like it had like it was bizarre. It was really strange.
And I'm not good at math, like at all, so that was just like.
I don't think any mathematical talent would have helped you there.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But amazing. Like, go there if you're going through. Please visit there because that was something really unique.
Yeah, it was cool.
So next up, we made our way to Deloraine.
Yeah.
So on the way to Deloraine, we camped at Red Hill,
Yes.
which is an official Tassie Trail campsite. It seemed like it hadn't been used in a while.
It's an old showgrounds, but yeah, it was overrun by the neighboring farmers' sheep, and they just like pooped everywhere. It was really weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, like as you'll remember in the video, we called up old mate, and he, it was his like dad or granddad or someone that actually ran it. So he came down, let us in, and we opted to just camp inside.
Yeah.
But that's a great facility. Definitely use it, although it seems the phone numbers are out of date. The guy we called was the guy who used to run it and isn't involved anymore, and he gave us the new number. And
kind of a shame.
Deloraine, we had a look around that museum, like the sort of pioneer museum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of convict history in there.
Well, there's also the Jimmy Possum chair. Now I know, like, a chair doesn't seem exciting, but like in Deloraine, legend has it that this man named Jimmy Possum, he crafted this amazing chair, and because he just sort of lived in the woods and he lived off the grid, he didn't have any proper tools, or he didn't have nails. So this chair like relies on gravity and just like it's almost like a puzzle. Like it just fits together in all the joints. And
It's all like friction fit.
Yeah. So he designed this chair, and it's incredibly sturdy. They're amazing chairs. You can still buy them today, but nobody knows who Jimmy Possum really is. Like there are all these myths about who the man was behind the chair. So yeah, that was really cool. And they had the whole exhibit dedicated to a Jimmy Possum chair.
The man behind the chair.
Yeah.
You went to the Yarn-O-Rama or whatever. Like I didn't go into
Yarn Story, yes, that was another super cool thing. So you go into this little theater, and this massive quilt, I guess you could call it, but it's all yarn. It's handmade, just like in panels, just covers the walls of this theater, and they have this huge production around it. Like there's a voiceover, and it like a light will shine on one segment of this yarn quilt, and
it's like a laser light show.
Yeah, it's like a laser light show, and then this narrator like describes the stories in each panel, and they each like represent the different seasons. And I don't remember how long it took. I think it took years for the community to just make this beautiful quilt. But yeah, it was stunning.
Worth a visit?
Oh yeah, totally. I highly recommend Deloraine. It was just stunning. It was a beautiful place, and apparently you can see platypus there. We didn't see any, but we weren't really looking. But apparently there, you just look over the bridge into the river and you'll see them. So
Tassie, that a lot of the time when we were looking for campsites and stuff, the reviews of the caravan park would say, "Oh, we saw platypus in the morning, and then we saw them over here." And like it seems that every creek and stream in Tassie has platypi. You just gotta chill.
look.
Yeah, you just gotta hang out. If you get up early and walk down there before all the kids start making a racket, then you're gonna see platypi.
Yeah.
We didn't see them in Tassie, but yeah, we saw them another time.
Yeah.
You'll find out about that.
Yeah.
So, Deloraine, from there we veered off the Tassie Trail. This is where we were going to stay with the warm showers in, is it Golden Valley or Golden Vale or something like that? And they weren't there anymore. They'd moved to Launceston, and they said that we were still welcome. We could still stay, but we'd have to go to Launceston. Launceston was 50k, so we figured, well, why don't we go see Launceston? We're not in any rush at the minute. Let's go have a look. So, Launceston's a pretty cool town, actually.
It's alright.
You saw the umbrella shop.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, another museum. The old umbrella shop in Launceston. It's still an umbrella shop, so it's like one of the oldest continuously operating shops in Tassie. And at the back is a free museum that's just filled with umbrellas that were made by this family that immigrated to Tasmania and started this really successful business. And the original owners of the umbrella shop, I wish I should know their names, but
I'll flash it up on the screen.
Yes, thank you. They created a bunch of locally made souvenirs because the owner at the time, he didn't like seeing people buying like cheaply made, you know, like mass-produced souvenirs that at the time I guess were being made in Europe and being shipped over. So yeah, he like made locally produced stuff and it just became really popular.
And that's what made them.
Yeah.
They got a troop of Japanese macaques.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was a gift from Japan, I believe, because they have like their twinned city.
Yeah.
It was in Japan, and it was a gift from the mayor of that city, I believe.
Oh, so Tasmania gifted them, I think, like 20 Tasmanian devils, and then
really?
Yeah, and so in return they got like 20 macaques. So yeah.
I like the macaques.
Yeah. Macaques?
Those are the neighbours. It's quite hot here. We've got the windows open, so it might be a bit noisy. Apologies. Yeah, I like the macaques. The macaques were cool.
Yeah, really cute.
And we walked there via Cataract Gorge.
Oh,
Dude, Cataract Gorge is
nice.
gorgeous. Sorry. They've got like a gondola. They've got like the cable car there, but I mean we didn't bother with that. I don't. Was it even running?
It was, yeah. But we just don't like that kind of stuff.
Shut up.
I don't know what bird that is. So that's the cool thing about Launceston. It's like this city, you know, quite a busy city, but there's a gorge just in the town.
It's because it was hydroelectric.
Oh, of course.
They generate hydro electricity there, and I would imagine that's how the town sprung up. It would be around that, perhaps. Although, having said that, it's an extremely old town. Like the age of some of the buildings there, like it looks like being back in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's the only time we've seen the odd old building in this country that's like built to like a sort of European style, but I think Launceston was the only time in this being in Australia that I've actually seen architecture that really looked convincingly European.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tassie's huge on hydro electricity. Launceston has it up on the Central Plateau when we made it there. They had some big pipelines and stuff there. I think they have the lakes up there so high up they can use them for generating power. Anyway, Launceston, worth a visit. After that, we did indeed head up to the Central Plateau.
Yes.
Via Poatina.
Poatina.
What do you think about Poatina?
You know, I feel like that place is worth another visit. We'd heard of it from our Warm Showers host. They said that it's this very strange sort of, it's a religious town. I'm not sure what religion, but, so we'd heard of it. It has a bit of a reputation. And so we went up there, and it must have been a Sunday because, like, no one was out. Nothing was really open. It was almost like a ghost town. But, like, the minute you come into town, right at the entrance is a labyrinth, like a meditative labyrinth. So it's that kind of town. So, of course, we did the labyrinth.
Pretty amazing views all around as well.
Stunning.
It's a really nice spot to put it down. But yeah, apparently they have a very tight-knit community there.
Yeah.
I think property there is very cheap, but when you buy it, you're not just buying the property, you're sort of buying into the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Is what we've been told. I can't say for certain.
That's what we've heard.
All I know is it's at the foot of the most serious climb of the tour.
That was horrible.
We've had worse. It was a long climb, but it was kind of gradual.
It was It was just tiring. I think we started at around 3 p.m.
Yeah, maybe later.
It was quite late, and we'd already been cycling quite a bit, and so you're just doing this gradual climb, and then you're hot, but then it starts getting really cold because it's getting later and later, and it's Tassie, so I was frozen by the end of it.
That time of the year in Tassie, as soon as the sun goes down, it's cold. Like, as soon as you see the sun dip below that horizon, it just gets so cold, so fast.
It's like gloves and a hat and big puffy coat, you know?
So,
it's so cold.
So that happened as we were doing the climb.
Yeah.
But because we were huffing and puffing and sweating up the climb, like, it didn't really affect us until we crested it.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got over that, like, mound at the top, like, suddenly we were exposed and the wind hit us.
Oh.
And going to that campsite was miserable.
Oh, we found this campsite, and it was sort of like almost like a last ditch. It was like pitch black.
No, that's where I was planning on going.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I'd planned to go there.
Oh.
I knew it wasn't an official campsite, but I knew that it was potentially a good spot.
Okay.
Like I had a little bit of intel on that one. And it was, but like we sort of got there blind because it was dark and everything, and we kind of found the area, but there was like glass everywhere.
Yeah.
They like some idiots had been up there. It's like it's a popular camping spot, I would imagine, but it's amongst the 4-wheel drive crowd, and they just leave smashed beer bottles everywhere, and it's a gorgeous spot, but it took us a long time just to find somewhere where the tent wasn't going to get slashed by the glass. Still, nice spot though. Once we got settled, it was good.
And we had a fire, didn't we? Did we light a fire?
I can't remember, did we?
I think so, because there were fire pits everywhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, it was by the Poatina Inlet. Again, inlet, part of the hydroelectric thing, I would wager. And then from there we tackled this. That was our gateway to the Central Plateau.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. The weather kind of turned, didn't it, and it started raining?
Yeah, it was pretty miserable up there. It's the first time in a while where we'd seen the landscape really change.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different up there. It's that moor kind of.
Yeah.
It's just very barren and bare up there compared to the regular forests of Tassie. We didn't really see or do much up there. We kind of just rode over it. It was beautiful to ride. There's not much stuff up there, but it's really worth visiting. And we came off the other side of it just in time because that's when the snow hit up there.
That's right.
Yeah, and made our way down to D Lagoon and camped at another official Tassie Trail campsite there, which is where I startled a deer. And we checked out the old police station there and the convict built wall.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So there used to be an old convict station out there, and then when that stopped, they had like a police station, and there's no point having a police station out there now. So now it's just an abandoned building. But it's still, it was a glimpse into some of that convict history of the area of Tasmania, Van Diemen's Land. Yeah, from there, not much to report. It was like a really nice ride down off the plateau. Pretty nice all the way to New Norfolk, you know. Stopped in 2 metre tall brewery along the way, which is really good. All wild yeasted ales and barrel aging and stuff like that. They were really cool. New Norfolk, we didn't really look around.
No, because we got there late and we were tired. I think we just stayed in the hotel.
It was cold.
It was cold.
And then the next day we just wanted to get to Hobart.
Yeah, we were just kind of done.
We'd organised our warm showers.
Yeah.
And like the ride to Hobart wasn't great, especially seeing as there's all this disused railway track all the way there. There could be rail trail, and maybe, like half of it, a third of it, if that actually is. So not the best ride, but once you get into Hobart, there's that cycle lane that takes you all the way into town via Mona.
Yeah, we went to the Mona, and we did that before going into, like, on our way into Hobart. We went to Mona because it's like on the outskirts.
Yeah, recommended. Like, if you're staying in town, Mona's like a little bit of a trek to get out of town too, especially if you're on a bike.
You can take
so
a ferry.
You can take a ferry,
yeah. Personal ferry.
Yeah. Again, that's still probably an undertaking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still a bit of a distance. So it makes sense if you're going into town, like, do it on the way in. Yeah. Because if your time is limited in town, you don't want to spend it, running back and forward. Mona was interesting.
Mona was cool. They have a machine that poops twice a day. You feed it first and then it poops, and the smell is
Bonnie's highlight.
Yeah, it was my
The
favorite.
poop machine,
I loved
of course.
The poop machine. Well, there was also the vagina wall. That was cool. Volunteers allowed an artist to make plaster casts of their genitals for this wall.
And they had a big gallery.
It was amazing.
Of them.
Watching the people study this wall of vaginas was probably...
Yeah, you got a very candid shot of those people
just
mulling it over.
Yeah, mulling it over.
Taking it in.
Yeah.
What was that room all about? Remember we went into that room and there were people just sat there like counting like grains of sand or rice or something.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was on the way to the poop machine.
It was. Yeah, that was, I don't know. Oh, and then like a band showed up. It was like a brass band just came out of nowhere.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
those guys?
The party train just going from room to room.
It was crazy. And then they just left and we never saw them again. Like, okay.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Brewery wasn't very good.
Was there a brewery in?
Yeah, Moo Brew.
There was.
We went to Moo Brew on the way in. I got told that I'd seen Moo Brew beer before. Sorry, we like beer.
Craft beer.
Of course, good beer, yeah. So I'd had Moo Brew before in mainland Australia as well as in Tasmania. Never knew it was Mona's in-house brewery. I just, didn't make the connection. So before we went in, we went for a beer and really disappointing. For such an interesting place, you'd think they'd have interesting beer. But it was all just standard stuff, nothing out of the ordinary.
Like inoffensive.
Yeah. Cookie cutter, this is a pale ale, this is a lager, this is whatever. You'd expect them to have like some crazy stuff. Yeah. No. They also have a winery we didn't bother with, but the bar there was like neither here nor there. You'd think it'd have interesting decor. Not really. Moving on from Mona, Hobart.
Love it. That's probably my favorite city in Australia. It's like a small city in a way.
Ish, yeah.
Small-ish because, it's so old and there's only so much space that they could have spread out into. But like it's so walkable.
Not very cyclable.
Not cyclable. Definitely not cyclable, but walkable, yes. So we just walked everywhere. And all the residential neighborhoods are like on hills, which it reminded me of San Francisco. And you can literally just like our warm showers the house that we stayed in. Literally, it was like up a hill and you just walk into town and that was it.
We were like
it was like a 5-minute walk almost.
Yeah, we were like 2 blocks away from the main drag.
It was crazy. It was so
But it didn't feel like you were in a city.
No.
It felt like you were just in like a residential area. And again, it was like up in the hills.
Oh, it was stunning. And oh my gosh, I've been waiting for a place like this since I got to Australia. Well, since I left the States. We found this bagel place called Bury Me Standing. So not only is it owned by a Midwesterner, but a Polish Midwesterner, so the food's going to be good. And it was! American bagels! Oh, you have no idea how hard it is to find American bagels, where they actually boil them, or... Oh, God, they were so good.
And they like pickles.
Oh, and pickles. Yeah, because that's like a...
It's a Polish thing, right?
It's Polish or German.
Yeah,
that's a German thing. You hang a pickle up in the Christmas tree, but they sell them... they sell the ornaments there, just... I don't know, for fun.
We went up to the female factory.
Yeah, that was interesting.
She's like a women-only prison as part of the Van Diemen's Land penal colony. Pretty harrowing history of that place, as you can imagine. A lot of these women having children or being pregnant or whatever, like really rough stuff.
I think 15,000 women were sent to Van Diemen's Land as prisoners, and they would go to these female factories where they were put to work. Sewing clothes for soldiers, doing laundry, and then they would do this awful thing where they were given big coils of rope from the docks, and they would have to take the tar off these ropes by hand.
Yeah, recycle the fibers.
Yeah,
gross.
Awful.
So after the female factory, we called by Cascades Brewery. The highlight of which was probably getting this cool mug. Other than that, it wasn't that interesting. We looked for the rivulet, the Hobart rivulet, which is that underground creek that runs through the city.
Yeah.
But all the common access points had either been secured or they had security patrolling them. So we didn't really get into there.
It used to be, I guess that was like an urban explorer, mecca, but not anymore.
Yeah. It was sort of described as a unofficial street art gallery, which sounds very fancy, but what that actually means is there's just a lot of graffiti down there. Some of it's quite good graffiti, but it sounded really good on paper, but it was going to be a nightmare to get into, and we saw a fair bit of it anyway. Mawson's Hut.
Yeah. So I don't know why I didn't realize this. This is how bad I am with geography, but the Antarctic is fairly close to Tassie, and Australia, like most countries, has a base in Antarctica.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word. So anyway, Tassie is actually like the leaving point to go over there. So they have a replica of Mawson's hut in downtown Hobart, and Mawson was this famed Antarctic explorer. Unfortunately, he is more known for this disastrous expedition.
Very ill-fated.
Very ill-fated expedition that he had over there, where most of his team died. He nearly died.
Didn't they resort to like eating the sled dogs?
They had to eat the sled dogs, which was terrible. And then the dog livers actually ended up poisoning Mawson, so he experienced degloving, and that's where like the layer of skin starts.
Start coming off of his fingers and stuff.
Oh god. So his skin started just like coming off, and he actually managed to get back to base camp. I think it was like 6 hours or something after the rescue ship that had come to get him had left. So he had to spend another winter.
Oh yeah, he did like the big mist high five, didn't he?
Yeah. So he was stuck there for another winter, but he recovered. But yeah, unfortunately, it was just a big disaster. So the hut is an exact replica of the hut that he built, and that still stands in the Antarctic. It's just easier to get to this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Hobart, yeah, like you say, it's sort of the setting off point for a lot of these expeditions, and as a result, it has a lot of Antarctic history.
Yeah.
We went to that hotel.
Oh yeah.
Who's the guy who went there again? All right, so I just had to look this up because we forgot. Hadley's Orient Hotel, which is where in 1912, when he arrived in Hobart, Norwegian Antarctic explorer Roald Amundsen stayed at Hadley's. So yeah, the place has a bit of a history of Arctic exploration and whatnot.
Oh, this is another thing. Okay, I didn't know this. But the actor Errol Flynn was from Hobart. I had no idea, and he frequented that hotel. There's also a park in Hobart named after him. So
we went there.
Yeah, we did. Terrible day.
It was grim and it was miserable, and there wasn't really anything to see anyway.
No.
It was just like there was a sign there.
There was a sign. Yeah, there's a sculpture trail that goes through that park. But basically, the park is named for him because they say as a child, Errol Flynn would go to this park and he would watch the ships come in, and it inspired his real life adventures. Because he
Wanderlust.
because he was quite the adventurer. I had no idea. So fun fact, Errol Flynn died in Vancouver, BC, where I grew up. And the Police Museum in Vancouver, which I went to all the time because I'm a nerd like that, had the autopsy table that, his autopsy was conducted on. It had it on display, so it was kind of cool.
Errol Flynn's autopsy table.
Yeah.
That's quite a display piece. It's a bit of a conversation starter.
It certainly was, yeah. Probably a lot more I could say about Errol Flynn, but it's not PG.
Not PG.
Yeah.
He was the explorer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hobart, great city.
Awesome city.
Hobart,
We'd go
probably one of, if not our favourite city in Australia.
Yeah.
It's such a cool place.
They're an
super livable city. We're not really city people, but like I could probably be quite happy living in Hobart.
Totally.
So getting out of Hobart wasn't the best ride. It was a bit awkward, but we did make our way to Richmond, home of the Pooseum.
Yeah, so we'd had the Pooseum in our sights for quite a while.
You certainly have.
I certainly had. And we get to the Pooseum in Richmond, and they're in the middle of a legal dispute with the town council because the town council wanted them to remove their sign, which says Pooseum and has a penguin projectile pooping on it. And I guess the council thought it went against the historical aesthetic of the town. So yeah, they were in a huge legal battle about that. And actually, I believe the Pooseum won. They didn't have to take their signs down, but that was quite exciting to go inside and see all the stool samples.
Good little stealthy camp that night, accompanied by Chanticleer.
Chanticleer.
Of course.
The
We will always remember Chanticleer.
I love Chanticleer. He was rude. He was a rude rooster.
He was rude.
Okay.
He's a beautiful specimen.
Yeah.
But very, very rude
Very
little rooster. And then from there, I guess we just made our way around to Port Arthur from there.
Yeah.
Fairly nice roads on the way there, pretty nice cycle, good coastline. But yeah, Port Arthur. Tourist trap.
Port Arthur, how do I describe this nicely? I think we were expecting a lot more because we'd heard so much about Port Arthur, and so it is beautiful, like the old Oh, hello?
All right, well, so our friends just arrived midway through recording this. Okay, so now they're gone. Where were we?
We're talking about Port Arthur.
Port Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay, so Port Arthur, beautiful area. The site itself, super historic,
Yeah.
like very important in the overall history of Tasmania as a penal colony.
Very cool, but a bit, I don't want to say this, but I will, it's a bit Disney. Like, it's very expensive to go there, and it's like, so you have to pay like a base of like, I think it was $50 Australian just to go to Port Arthur, but if you want to do any little excursions, like the ghost tour, or you go to Deadman's Island, it's like an extra 50, so they just tack on.
So the history of the shooting is really tragic.
Yeah.
There was a mass shooting there. A lot of people were hurt and killed, and
That was in the 90s.
we won't get into that.
Yeah.
We talked about it in our video. You know, if you've seen that. Yeah. Anyway, so it was cool. It was an interesting place. It was nice here in the penal colony history. A lot of old buildings there. We opted to take the boat over to the Isle of the Dead.
Yeah.
Probably the best part of it.
That was cool. It was really stormy, so like the boat was rocking, and that was a bit scary, but you go to the island, and it's a guided tour, and that was actually super cool. So convicts and staff of the penal colony were all buried here, but the staff were buried at the northern part with their backs to the convicts, like one last like indignity towards them. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, and the stones were really beautiful, and it was just kind of neat to be on this island that had like a graveyard on it and stuff.
Controversial, but
Yeah.
despite the dead island being cool, I probably could have done without going to Port Arthur at all, really, and I don't think it would have made too much difference to our overall trip.
Yeah, it's funny because I think people had built it up, and I think we had built it up in our minds, and then we got there, and it was sort of like, whatever.
Everyone told us, you have to go to Port
Yeah.
Arthur. If you're going to Tassie, you can go to Tassie and not go to Port Arthur. It's amazing. And we went, and it was fine,
Yeah, it was,
I guess. However, what was great is when we left Port Arthur and we went to Fortescue Bay.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was beautiful.
Fortescue Bay, the Cape Way walk, awesome. Really worth going. Do yourself a favour and go there. It's beautiful.
We got lucky because when we left for Fortescue Bay, it was pouring rain. It was horrible. But by the time we got there, it had stopped. And then the day was beautiful and sunny and warm. So we did the hike in sunlight. It was stunning. And then the rest of the time there, it was quite rainy and not very nice. But
Well, it rained when we left.
Yeah, it rained when we
It
left.
was alright. We met a couple from Geelong, which is funny. So Fortescue Bay, totally worth it.
Yeah.
Desolated pavement, worth it on the way
that was
high.
worth it, yeah.
The dog line,
That was cool.
that's a cool bit of history there.
So it sounds fake, but this is true. So any convicts that were trying to escape, if they tried to go by land, there was like a literal line of these vicious, half-starved dogs just chained up that would just tear them to bits.
Yeah, and the dogs were placed just far enough away from each other that they could share a bowl, but they couldn't kill each other. Anyway, I talked about all of this in the video. The monument's literally just at the side of the road. You can just pull in, have a look, no biggie.
We went to the Tassie Devil Zoo.
Oh, of course, the UnZoo.
Yeah, the UnZoo was awesome.
The UnZoo was
that
great.
was cool.
That's really worth a visit. Like, it was so funny when we were just kind of milling around, looking at the art, wondering, trying to get our bearings, and then we just hear, and turn around and there's a Tassie Devil
It
there.
was just sort of like, oh, hello.
Yeah, they were awesome. I love the Tassie Devils. They're so cool.
They're just silly.
Yeah, the UnZoo, and they've I don't know how it works out in reality. I don't know. I don't really understand enough about it, but it seems like their ethos is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just all the animals that are at the zoo are free to come and go as they please. The Tassie Devils, not so much. They're enclosed, but it's this massive enclosure, where they're free to just roam as they want, but they can't just like hop the fence and be free. Yeah, they're domesticated at this point.
They call them day walkers.
Day walkers, that's right.
Because Tassie Devils are nocturnal.
Yeah.
These ones are not. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. So Tassie Devil UnZoo is worth visiting though. It was cool. The East Coast was alright.
It was nice.
Wasn't too much interesting for us. It's just sort of like coastal tourist towns, like nothing, not the kind of stuff we hunt out. But it was a pleasure to cycle up there. Like it was really beautiful. Did some good stealth camping up there until we got to the Bay of Fires.
Oh, that was beautiful. So what I thought was super cool is that like all the campsites in the Bay of Fires are free, which is amazing, because they're just stunning campsites. They're really well maintained, and you're in this beautiful environment. Like the water was turquoise, and that with these giant boulders covered in this orange algae. It's amazing. It was beautiful. I think that might have been my favorite part.
Worth a visit.
Trip. Yeah.
Really nice camp spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good. We got gifted some logs by a friendly grey nomad who saw us scrounging for sticks on the beach.
And then I had this memory bell. So I'd never heard of a memory bell, but about 8 years ago, a boss of mine back in Florida, she'd found this bell on a string of glass beads with a note attached to it that said, pass this on and take a picture and post it to this Facebook group, and so you'll always be reminded of this memory you've had. So she gave it to me because at the time I was about to go on a solo bike trip of Florida. So I carried this memory bell with me all over Florida, and I didn't end up leaving it there. And then I took it with me to Michigan, didn't leave it there. And then all across Europe and England, and finally at the Bay of Fires, I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this memory bell here. Yeah, so hopefully someone has it.
So someone has it.
I hope so.
You put it fairly in the open.
Yeah.
Someone will have found it, yeah.
And has transported it somewhere else, and
And they just kept it in their bag for 5 years.
Yeah, like
you
someone.
did.
Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, Bay of Fires. And then back to St. Helens. Nice go up the hill past the pig, the pub in the paddock, which unfortunately couldn't give the pig any beer. But then we went to Derby, which was a pilgrimage for me. I always figured we'd be passing through Derby and that, I would see it and I would be there, but I'm going to be on a touring bike. So I always thought, we would just have to pass through Derby and that would be that, because I'm on a touring bike. I'd sold off my mountain bike, all this. And we got there and I'm like, I can't just go to Derby and not ride. So rented the bike. It's pretty expensive, but definitely worth it. The best trails I've ever ridden. Bear in mind, I haven't ridden many, but they were just perfect, man. It was so good out there. Town, meh.
The town left a lot to be desired, which is a shame.
There's just not much going on. I guess there's a nice pizza place. The most populous place in the town seemed to be the free campsite. So there's not much in the town, but it seems like people aren't really putting that much money into the town. It seems like most of the people that go to ride there turn up in caravans or campers or whatever, park at the free camp, cook all their own meals all the weekend and ride the trails. I could be wrong, this is all speculative, but it seems like a lot of the riders aren't actually spending any money in the town anyway, so which would explain why there's not a lot going on there in terms of shops, restaurants, whatever.
Well,
plus it's tiny. It's a tiny place,
It's small, but I've been to towns like that in the States, and it's just that there are cool breweries and really cool cafes and neat restaurants, and it just seemed like wasted potential.
On the flip side, it's all about the trails, and they have the best trails in Australia. I'm convinced. I don't think anywhere's got any better trails than that around here. Having said that, though, there's a bloke's just bought a plot of land in there with the intent of starting a brewery. So yeah, that's good.
So I didn't go mountain biking in Derby because I don't like mountain biking, but I did walk through the Derby Tunnel, which is a walking/cycling route in town, and I almost got hit by a group of mountain bikers, but it was still cool, still kind of scary because you're walking down this tunnel and suddenly it sounds like thunder as all these like cyclists are coming straight for you.
And you would have seen in the video is like pitch black in there.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, like I bumped into those cyclists later on and they were like, oh, there was a lady in the tunnel. What was she doing in there? Blah, blah, blah. And they were kind of annoyed, but it's like, it is a shared trail.
Yeah.
Like people walk through that. And if you look at the reviews of the Derby Tunnel on Google Maps and TripAdvisor and all this stuff, there's a lot of complaints from walkers that they were nearly rolled over by a mountain bike, or 10 in your case.
Oh, that's horrifying.
I guess that shows you though the Derby in that area has a rich history in mining and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, I had the time of my life. I would love to go back. Maybe one day I will. I hope so. Next, leaving Derby, we followed the Derby Branxholm link, which is, it's sort of talked about and described as like a rail trail type thing. I thought it was great. Bonnie, not so much.
I hated it.
There's like rock rolls and jumps and stuff like that. That's all optional, but it's a little bit mountain bike orientated, as you would expect.
Scary. I just
From it being, you know, part of the Derby network, it's kind of not surprising. But after a short stint of road after that, we ended up on the Scottsdale Rail Trail. I think they call it like, it's like the Great Northeastern Tasmanian Rail Trail or something like that. And the section they've built so far is awesome. Like if you're going through there, just ride it. We, for once, were lucky because we were going downhill.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Don's Dunny, remember that?
Yeah, aw.
So that's great, and it looks like they're extending it. They want to take it from Derby, all the way from like Scottsdale or whatever, to Launceston, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
I guess at that point,
Went to that town with the telephone poles that were painted.
Yeah, we camped at Lilydale next to the waterfall. Pretty cool. Went past the painted poles of Lilydale and made our way back to Launceston.
Yeah.
Second time to stay in a pod hotel.
Pod hotel.
I didn't sleep very well.
I didn't either. It was a bit hot. A bit close.
Well, yeah, the air wasn't great in there.
The idea was cool.
Yeah, it's cool and everything, but I think it'd be cool if you had that double one that we had, but you had that to yourself.
Yeah. It reminded me of, you know, like the 60s Planet of the Apes.
Yes,
and,
and Janet Jackson and The Fifth Element.
And The Fifth Element, yeah.
These guys will have seen this in that video.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you put that in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I literally came and told you the second I did it.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense.
Anyway, Pod Hotel, yeah. Cool experience. It was cheap. Yeah, why not? You know. So that was on our way to Beaconsfield, which, the town itself we didn't really look around much, but Beaconsfield was the site of the Beaconsfield mine collapse, where those two miners got trapped underground. Yeah. And that was pretty incredible seeing the story of that, because no one was coming to rescue them. Like, no one had the expertise, the skills. Like, if a mine collapses, there isn't just like a hotline you can call and say, oh yeah mate, can you come and sort our mine out? So they had to get them out themselves. And the ingenuity, like they like cut open a bottle on like the end of a pole and poked that down the hole to get stuff to them. They did. It was crazy. And the Foo Fighters wrote a song about them.
Yeah,
Dave Grohl made like an acoustic ballad.
Aww, and then he like had drinks with one of them afterwards.
Yeah,
they
had
the invitation.
a lot of drinks.
Yeah. And then from Beaconsfield, we went to Beatty Point. And this was super cool because at Beatty Point they have Seahorse World, which started out as a breeding farm for seahorses for commercial use, and now it's it's still actually a breeding farm, but now they also breed rare handfish, which is like this weird, strange looking fish that can only be found in Tasmania, and it doesn't actually swim. It walks on these little like hand appendages.
Yeah.
Very strange.
The spotted handfish.
Spotted handfish, yeah. So they breed them there because they are severely endangered And yeah, the breeding program has actually been a success.
Wasn't there like less than 100 of them in the wild?
There was like 12.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Something really bad, yeah, so luckily.
Yeah. And then we made our way, we tried to make our way back to Devonport to get the ferry. And we got stuck.
Well, we heard we were like literally on our way there. We weren't even that far, and the news made the announcement that Victoria was back in lockdown.
It was the circuit breaker lockdown, you know, so they'd had some cases and they were like, right, the entirety of Victoria, hard lockdown for 1 week, and then at the end of the week we'll lift it.
Yeah.
It's never that simple. So we figured, okay, we'll postpone the ferry a week. I mean, we were looking at all sorts of options. We were thinking we might have to like fly to the ACT or something. But in the end, we figured we'll wait until the end of the week. We'll put the ferry back till then and see what the announcement is. So we had a week to kill. So we went along to Penguin, which is, that was cool. That was like, I mean, there's not much going on in Penguin. It's just a little seaside town. It's not particularly interesting, but it's cool, you know, like.
They really like play up the name, so there's penguins everywhere. It was just cute.
And then we basically spent the week at the Guns Plains. Yeah. We went up there and it was cold, and we basically they have backpacker accommodation up there, but because of COVID and everything, they had no backpackers. So they had all these sort of dongas with some shared toilets and a shared communal kitchen, and no one in it. Like the whole place was empty. So we just went up there, spent the week kind of hanging out in the communal kitchen and stuff, pillaging the electricity so I could edit a couple of these to get myself ahead, and we could try and research what our next move was. And it was pretty good. It worked out really well, you know. And obviously we went to the Guns Plains Caves.
That was cool.
It was pretty cool. And Leven Canyon, which was incredible.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Really nice. And then just generally had a chilled out week.
Yeah.
And then went back to the ferry.
Yeah.
So getting onto the ferry was pretty nerve-wracking, eh? It wasn't exactly an unstressful day that we were already like, okay, I should clear this up. Like at the end of the week, they didn't end the Melbourne lockdown, but they relaxed it slightly, and they took regional out of lockdown.
Yeah.
So the rules, they said, like Melbourne's in lockdown, but if you're coming from a green area to go to regional, you can transit through Melbourne. So Tassie's a green area. So we're coming from somewhere where there's no cases of COVID. It's considered a safe area. And they said, the instructions are basically, intended for people driving cars. And they say, if you come to Melbourne, you can drive straight out of town. Do not stop anywhere. Do not talk to anyone. Do not go into any shops. The only thing you can stop for is fuel if you absolutely must. And just get into regional and then you're fine. That's a bit more complicated when you're traveling by bike. So we called up the COVID hotline and they didn't know what to make of it.
They had no idea.
So we sort of, between what they told us and our own discretion, we decided if we buy all our groceries in Devonport and make sure we're well stocked so we don't need to stop anywhere in Melbourne, we can get off the ferry and we will just beeline out of Melbourne and get the hell out of there.
Yeah. It's
transiting, and so that's the idea once we get off this ferry, is to do that. Despite this, going to the ferry, we were pretty nervous about all this.
Yeah.
We're like, feels like a grey area, even though we're not technically doing anything legally questionable. Like, what if they're questioning people getting off the ferry? What if there's like customs guys or security or something? What's going to happen with people coming interstate, like this is... So it was a stressful time. Stressful. And then on the way there, my pedal fell off. The pedal had squeaked all the way around Tassie. I'm so sorry about that. I know that was annoying. It was annoying for me, especially. I could have bought a new pedal maybe in Derby or St. Helens, but all they had was like expensive mountain bike gear. And like, I didn't want to spend more money on another expensive mountain bike part that would fail the same as this pedal had. So it died on the way to the ferry and I ended up getting some cheapies at the Giant store.
Well, I love how it fell off when we were like maybe 2 miles or something from the ferry. Well, we weren't even that far.
We were in Devonport.
Yeah, we were in Devonport, and it fell off then.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what, I'm glad it didn't fall off sooner.
Yeah, well, if it had fallen off, like, you know, right after we'd left Elvaston or something like that.
That would be bad. And then on the ferry, there was like no one on board. It was so weird. Like going to Tassie, it was quite full, but coming back, there was nobody on board.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Like there was
strange.
In the recliner lounge, because we're cheap.
Yeah, we didn't get that. We should have gotten up.
There were like a couple of few rows down in front of us, and maybe 5 people over the other side. That was it.
Yeah.
That room sits like I think 40 or 50 people.
Yeah, there was nobody.
And there was 5.
It's weird.
It was insane. All right, so Tassie.
It was great.
Favorite part?
Oh, definitely. God, Bay of Fires. Sorry.
Bay of Fires?
Bay of Fires is my favorite, and Hobart for cities.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think maybe I preferred Fortescue Bay to Bay of Fires.
Fortescue was really nice.
Yeah. Low point?
Probably Port Arthur.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say Tassie is one of those places that we almost could have not gone there.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the way things are, like our tour and having to get across the country and stuff, like Tassie was almost like a bit of it was like a massive detour, you know. It was like, it took us like 5 weeks in the end.
We didn't be there that long.
And that's time we didn't know if we could afford to waste. So we almost could have not gone there, but I'm so glad we did.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was 100% worth it. If you're thinking about bike touring Tassie, stop thinking and start booking tickets on the ferry, because it is perfect for bike touring. It's amazing. Go in the summer.
Yeah.
Don't do it during May. It's not a good idea. If you do it in the summer, you'll have an awesome time. So I guess that's it for Tassie.
I think so.
Okay, so if that's all you wanted to hear, switch off now, because I'm going to do a couple of like small channel updates. Like we said, we're kind of stopped for now. Spoiler alert. So I'm going to take this opportunity to start releasing some other videos. A few people have asked about our touring setup, what gear we're using, what bags we're using, and if we can do a sort of rig rundown and a video about our touring setup. So that is on the way. You know, you'll have seen I've been doing the shorts about like the Tips Tuesday, stuff like that. I've been trying my best to, you know, provide a little bit of extra content. Maybe we'll do a bit of behind the scenes, the tumbleweed.
Yeah.
You know?
Some footage that didn't make it into the videos.
Yeah, and perhaps I'm going to start doing some gear reviews, equipment we used on the tour, what worked, what didn't work. If that's something you guys are into, comments below. I was even thinking I might do some bikepacking food videos, maybe do some Trangia cooking, you know, stuff like that, show people what they can be eating out there and the kind of stuff we cooked. A couple of friends we talked to said we don't show enough of what we're eating out there. So, I mean, I didn't think people would be too interested in what we're eating, but those guys are. So if that's something you want to see, like maybe that's another guide in itself, bike touring food. So I've also been working on some video improvements. A few people have asked in the comments and private messages when this tour occurred. You know, obviously it's now, we're now going into February, and the last video I uploaded was in June. So, you know, we're a bit off here, and with the whole COVID thing and the general climate, people are curious as to how we've managed this traveling whilst the pandemic's been going. And it's because it happened quite a long time ago. So, yeah, as of now, I've actually started putting the dates of the recording in the start of the video. So this is video 52. Video 55, from then on, we actually have the date in the corner at the start of the video. So hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully that clears up any confusion about when this all happened and what was going on in the world. People will know that we're not actually currently bike touring while Omicron variant is running through the country. Yeah, hope that helps. I've been working a lot on the maps, as you can see. Let me know what you guys think of that. Like, I'm trying to, been doing a bit of experimentation. Maybe a couple of the current episodes might be a bit map heavy and a bit over the top, but I've been messing with that. I've been experimenting. I'm trying to see what works. So let me know if you guys like it. Let me know if that's helpful for a bit of context as to where we currently are in our tour and in Australia. finally, we set up a Patreon page. Almost seems a bit silly, seeing as at the time of this video we only have 200 subscribers. I don't know who exactly is paying this Patreon. We have self-funded this entire trip. We work extremely hard to save money. We live a very basic lifestyle in order to put as much money away as possible so that we can go off and we can bike tour like this for months.
Yes.
And we have to make a lot of sacrifices to make it happen. So people have told me you should set up a Patreon page. If people enjoy what you're doing, maybe they might want to contribute in some way. So a bit of contribution from anyone who's interested could keep the wheels turning a little bit longer. That could keep us out there longer, could keep us making more videos for longer, providing more content, more value for you guys. And if we've stopped for a while, then that can go towards replacing equipment, fixing the bikes, buying, sundries like chains, cassettes, inner tubes. It can go towards replacing camera equipment that gets broken along the way, buying new batteries and things like that. Could even go towards buying new camping equipment that can be reviewed and again turned into videos. So I'm not expecting too much from the Patreon thing, but hey, why not? We'll throw it out there. It's going to allow us to make more videos. And yeah, what do you think?
I think that's a good idea.
I'm sort of rambling a bit, but all that to say, like, if you like what we do and you want to help it continue, contribution on Patreon wouldn't go amiss. And if you don't like the way Patreon operates with the whole subscription-based thing, we even have a buy me a coffee link where you can make a one-time donation. It's all going to help. Like I say, we fund all of this, and these videos take a long time to make. All right, we'll wrap it up there.
Okay.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.